Next slide, please. So, ano nga bang blockchain? As discussed earlier, you can think of a blockchain as a digital version of the traditional ledger or a record book, but with key differences. In a traditional system, there might be one official record keeper maintaining the books. Kapag nagkamali siya, or worse, if he deliberately alters the records, it can be extremely difficult to detect. On the left side of this image, you see traditional record keeping. Isang notebook, pwedeng mamanipula, pwedeng mawala, pwedeng itago. On the right, you see blockchain's approach. Multiple synchronized copies held by different community members, making manipulation virtually impossible. And having a blockchain is akin to the concept of bayanihan, community cooperation and accountability. Since the logbook is shared among the community, bawat isa sa atin magkakaroon ng kopya at access sa bawat transaksyon ng gobyerno. One key feature is that the entries cannot be altered once they are verified. In the blockchain, each record is copied and distributed to everyone in the community and verified by consensus before new entries are added. These are permanent and unchangeable and most importantly, they are transparent and accessible to all participants. Katulad ng bayanihan kung saan nagtutulong-tulong ang komunidad sa paglipat ng bahay, blockchain requires collective effort to maintain the integrity of the system. In the blockchain, no single person can change the records without everyone knowing. So just an attempt would alert everyone. Next slide, please. One key feature of the blockchain, as mentioned earlier, is immutability. Ibig sabihin, kapag nakalista na, hindi na mababago. Because of this, there's going to be a reliable audit trail or pathway of funds, which would drastically reduce opportunities for corruption. To clarify, utilizing the blockchain technology will not eliminate corruption, but it will definitely make it harder given the transparency and immutability it provides. Mahirap gumawa ng kalokohan kapag nakikita ng lahat. In fact, the DPWH has already started utilizing blockchain technology through what they call the integrity chain to prevent collusion and manipulation of records in public works. So, next slide, please. This chart is an example of how a blockchain-based budget system creates an unbreakable chain of accountability. Let's say, Teacher Grace. Imagine, gagawin yung bubong ng school nila para sa darating na tag-ulan. Using the blockchain system, she could view the budget allocation. Pwede yung tignan kung may pondo na para sa repairs ng school. And after that, she can view track the fund transfer. Nailipat na ba mula sa DBM papunta sa DepEd ang pondo. Then, after that, she can monitor project implementation. See when the project was approved and which contractor was selected. Verify payments. Track payments made to contractor and compare it against the works completed. And finally, confirm completion. And because of that, because of all these records that she has, she can report discrepancies if the project is marked complete, but the work is not there. As we can see at each step, both government auditors and the blockchain network validate and record these transactions, creating multiple layers of verification. This system transforms ordinary citizens from passive observers into active participants in governance, creating accountability at every step of the budget process. Next slide, please. A blockchain-based budget allows every Filipino to see the journey of public funds in real time, from allocation to disbursement to the final project. The path is clear and traceable. Balikan natin si Maria from Mindanao. If there's any problem with the construction of her children's school, hindi na niya kailangan mag-file ng iba't ibang request o pumunta sa iba't ibang opisina ng gobyerno. Pwede siyang tumingin sa kanyang phone where she can see every step na dinaanan ng pera ng bayan. Kapag na-release ng 10 million na pondo mula sa DBM papunta sa DPWH, makikita niya kaagad in real time kung anong biniling materyales at magkano, pwede ring makita at ma-record sa blockchain. And all of this, until the completion of construction, can be viewed through simple and easy-to-understand reports. Each Filipino can become a potential watchdog, creating a culture where transparency is expected and accountability is the norm. Hindi lamang ito tungkol sa paghahanap ng mali. Ito ay tungkol sa pagbabalik ng tiwala ng taong bayan sa pamamagitan ng pagiging bukas at aktibong pakikilahok. Next slide, please. So finally, let's compare the traditional budget system with the blockchain-based approach. In the traditional budget system, records can be altered after the fact. For instance, given this issue, the flood control, di ba, nagkaaroon ng tampering o nawawala yung mga ebidensya. Access to financial record information is limited. Fund movements are difficult to trace. Fraud may take months or even years to detect. Centralized control, of course, it creates vulnerability kasi iilan lang ang may hawak. With the blockchain, all transactions are permanent, immutable, they cannot be changed. Next, public access to the budget transactions is guaranteed. A complete audit trail exists, from allocation to spending. And real-time verification and anomaly detection is possible. Distributed verification prevents manipulation. So, as a final example, let's say I have been requesting to have a road fixed for years. Under the traditional budget system, pwedeng sabihin sa akin paulit-ulit na wala pang pondo. O kaya dumating na yung pondo pero wala pa rin ginagawa. With a blockchain system, I could verify whether the funds have really been allocated or wala pa. I could see if the allocated funds were diverted to other projects. Then, I could identify exactly where in the process the project stalled. And finally, I could report my evidence-based concerns instead of rumors and frustration. Hindi kwento-kwento lang, meron tayong pinangahawakan. And this comparison clearly shows how blockchain system creates a system where corruption becomes significantly more difficult to conceal and ordinary citizens gain the power to hold officials accountable with verifiable facts. From farmers to students, urban professionals to rural citizens, blockchain empowers everyone to participate in safeguarding our national resources. Putting our national budget on the blockchain will create the foundation of a future where every Filipino can say with confidence, alam ko kung saan napupunta ang buwis ko. Thank you for your attention, everyone. The Philippine Association of Fintech Lawyers stands ready to support this bill until it becomes a law.
Thank you, Attorney. So dalawa yung nasa isip ko na from your presentation. Unang-una, yung paghahabol sa mga kontrata na overpriced at lahat yan mas magiging madali kung may blockchain. But on the other hand, because it's on blockchain, preventive rin siya.
Yes, sir.
Kumbaga, mas mahirap magtago kasi nung kausap namin yung DPWH, no, yung si Bryce Hernandez at si Henry Alcantara. Ang kwento kasi nila, nangyayari yung first step doon sa corruption nila ay sa pag-aakyat ng mga presyo ng mga materyales, no? Yung tinatawag na CMPD. Na yung CMPD pala, yung kung magkano yung presyo ng bawat materyales, yun palang overpriced na. Tapos yung bawat unit na kailangan para sa isang infrastructure, kunyari, imbis na 100 lang yung 100 bags of cement, gagawin lang 200 bags of cement or 300 bags of cement. At dahil masalimuot itong mga proyektong ito, natatago talaga nila. But if we have that information also on the blockchain, and you can cross-reference it, no, with publicly available data, or anybody, any watchdog or any citizen can check yung dami at yung presyo, ayun palang malaking bagay na yun, no? Makikita mo na kaagad yun. At siguro, kung transparent ito, mas matitigilan yung mga taong nais na mag-overprice ng mga proyekto sa gobyerno, Attorney.
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's precise. No? As you mentioned earlier, if you have access to this, you can easily use the internet or even AI to compare it. Overpriced ba yung allocated budget dito sa isang project nito?
Yung isang nakita ko rin, kasi you have other slides here, no? Siguro because of lack of time, hindi mo na rin binasa, about ayuda. No? So, kung yung ayuda, naka-blockchain din, pwede rin nating malaman kung totoong tao yun?
Pwede po. Isa
Sige,
po
can you help
sa...
us explain that nga?
Isa po sa mga purposes ng blockchain is verification, no? So if we have these people under the blockchain system, malalaman natin kung may verification process kung totoo nga bang siya yun, no? In the same way na nagagamit siya sa national ID system, no? Kasi hindi lang siya limitado sa budget. Kasi kahit anong klaseng record pwede siyang ilagay. Kung merong makita nila na si Juana or ganito, hindi naman residente ng lugar na to, ma-verify nung kung sino yung dapat na magbigay sa kanila.
Bago yung ghost project, kasi ghost employee, yung matunog, di ba? Mga job order na hindi naman talaga totoong tao, o mga beneficiaries na hindi naman talaga totoong tao. If we went all the way there, kumbaga, hindi lang hanggang kontrata ng gobyerno, pero pati yung mga beneficiaries ng gobyerno, mga empleyado, kung kahit yung mga pangalan yun naka-blockchain, mababangga rin yan sa national ID, no? Assuming na lahat naka-national ID.
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Definitely.
And, well, that leads to the other question. What records need to be on the blockchain? And that's why we're asking help from other groups here, ma-identify. Kasi I think yung ibang initiatives ngayon, hanggang line item lang. Di ba? O, itong item na ito, naka-publish, but we need to go deeper than that. So, one level deeper is the contracts, yung mga nagbibid, yung pag-award ng mga kontrata. One level deeper is yung design, yung bill of materials. Maybe even another level deeper is yung consummation ng kontrata. Kung nabayaran ba, kailan nabayaran, magkano yung binayaran. All of that can actually be logged on. No? I mean, can be logged on the chain.
Yes, Mr. Chair, pwede po. And it's up to us to put kung ano yung record na gusto natin.
Hanggang saan? Hanggang saan, no?
Hanggang sa kung anong gusto natin.
Sige, and we will require the help of everyone here, especially yung mga watchdog groups, no? Kung ano yung records na i-require natin to be on the blockchain. Kasi kung masyadong malabdaw naman yung i-require natin, bali, wala rin yun. No? Parang sayang rin lang. But we wanted to go deeper para kaya talagang ma-analyze yan, no? Siguro lahat ng pinagbibigyan ng pera ng gobyerno, pera ng bayan, dapat nakalagay sa blockchain. And the terminal point is key, no? Where do we end it? Siguro pag sweldo, yun na yun, terminal point na yun, in-cash mo na yun, di ba? Pagdating sa mga kontrata, nakita kasi natin yung isang picture na lahat tayo na-shock, yung 1 bilyong piso na nandun sa table. Di ba? Kung i-require natin na ang nangyari kasi doon, yung contractor, nakuha niya cash. Yung buong project cost, nakuha niya ng cash tapos pinaghati-hatian nila. But if you require na direct to supplier, for example, kung semento yan, dapat direct to supplier yung resibo mo, no? These are some things that we can do to really limit the corruption or stop the corruption. Kasi kung bulto-bultong pera ang binibigay mo, talagang, mahirap na matrace yan. But if you require on the blockchain na yung ibang mga recipients, for example, dapat direkto mong bilhin yan sa mga suppliers ng semento o ng hardware store or what, may resibo, at least matitrace mo yan na talagang nagagamit ng maayos yung pera, no? Attorney, tama ba ako?
Yes, tama po. It's up to us to utilize this flexibility of the technology.
Sige, thank you. Si Mayor Benji sent word that he has to leave by 11. So we'll ask him to go ahead, no? With apologies to Tiwala and Bayani Chain. So Mayor Benji, bago niyo po ikwento yung initiatives niyo po sa Baguio, dahil alam ko po, nagpaplano na po rin po kayo mag-blockchain. Baka pwede rin po kayo magkwento ng konti sa aming lahat dito, yung inyong 2 linggo nag-iimbestiga ng mga katiwalian sa ating bansa. Ano po yung mga nakita po ninyo, ano po yung mga nais nyo pong i-share rin po sa amin?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you, and to our special guests and fellow public servants. Magandang umaga ho sa inyo lahat. I had a very brief stay with ICI, Mr. Chair. At the one thing that I found out, there are actually only 3 players, main players yan. Yung mga korap na politiko, yung mga korap na mga bureaucrats, and we're talking about infra, ibig sabihin mga korap na DPWH officials, at yung mga korap din ng mga contractors. Lahat sila korap dyan. And the way I see it, it has become a cottage industry, a livelihood program. sa laki ng perang involved. No? There should be 5 major players.